Welcome to The Sideshow. All right, welcome to another episode of The Sideshow. My name is Mike Bloom.
And I'm Mark Bloom.
And today we're going to be talking about Talking Heads' Fear of Music, Side 1. We've done a podcast before on Talking Heads. They were really a big band, probably more in the 80s, early mid 80s, than they were in the late 70s. But they were a very well regarded band, immediately, at least critically, following their first album, which was released in 1977. This was their third album, which was released in 1979, and the second of their albums to be produced by Brian Eno. Remain in Light, which their fourth album, which we previously did a podcast on, was their last album that was produced by Brian Eno. And, I think I can kind of sum up Talking Heads, at least in my mind, pretty simply. And it's going to be, the metaphor is going to be building a house. And their first album was a fairly minimal, kind of jangly pop arrangements, and that's basically the house being framed. By the time their second album, More Songs About Buildings and Food, which was their first album produced by Brian Eno, for that one they put the walls and the windows on. Now for this third album, where I think that the Brian Eno influence is a little bit stronger, that's where they installed the electrical, the wiring, the electricity. And then by the time of Remain in Light, that's when they put in the plumbing. And that's when the house was up and running. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, and I think it's a good story. These albums absolutely built on each other. In fact, there's some, certainly from this album to Remain in Light, some of the band members have commented that the things that they were working on this album really spread out and allowed them to do some of the things that they did in Remain in Light, but clearly building on a special type of music that in a lot of ways was uniquely Talking Heads. I'm sure you're going to hear me say a couple times as we're talking about this, it's like, that's a very Talking Heads riff. They had a song to them. But one thing that I always think about with Talking Heads, particularly about how it appears that they approached music. I obviously wasn't in their head, and these are some pretty talented, creative people. But some music is there for you to escape. It takes you to another place, and that place might be happy, it might be romantic, it might be fantasy driven or whatever, but it takes you to another place. And a lot of Talking Heads music is really trying to create what life is actually like for people, and how do you create those sounds that make things seem a little hectic or a little anxious, without just throwing around a bunch of sound effects, but bringing them into a song and the lyrics that approach things from a particular direction. But it really seems more focused in how do we replicate the emotions that people are actually feeling right now, today, in their life, in their relationships, in their work, in their relationships with technology, and that's harder to do than it sounds, to make that happen. So when I look at this again, it's not really music to escape to. It's music to kind of align with what's going on in a lot of people's lives. That's certainly how I've always seen Talking Heads.
Well, and I mean, I've got some fairly specific ideas about what this music is supposed to be about. But one thing that it certainly provides is, if you don't feel like getting, immersed in the the art of the lyrics, or the meaning of the lyrics, and you just choose to just kind of listen to it and just get into the sounds, you can do that and enjoy it and get your money's worth out of this music. And I think there is actually a lot of art in the lyrics. And I mean, and I think there's a theme to the album. And the fear of music, that the title, I don't know, how deep I want to get into that. I mean, because some of David Byrne, I mean, you could get a half dozen music fans and 3 psychologists and not be able to get to the bottom of it.
Oh yeah,
But I think that there is some clarity, in terms of just the general idea that he was trying to get at. But I think that what these songs are about is what it was like to be like a college age person, either attending college or hanging out with college students, none of whom really know what they want to do with their life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're living in an urban environment.
Yep.
When you get down to brass tacks, that's what this music is about. And it's more leaning towards the more high strung David Byrne type of individual along those lines than a more laid back crack a cool one a sort of college student. Kind of a more artsy fartsy type, if you will. But there's, I mean, you've gone to college, in Madison, Wisconsin. I went to college in 3 different, school to 3 different cities, all of which were different, but Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Madison. And I think this music just that gets to that sort of aesthetic / intellectual space.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think that it is. It ends up being, especially looking back at it, more grounded than that even. There was a lot of stuff that, say, we were thinking about when we were in college and still didn't know exactly what we want to do, that wasn't very grounded at all. And when we get into talking about some of these songs, I'll certainly point out, I mean, there's things where these songs are more meaningful to me now, right? When now I'm post 60. It's been a while since we were in college, but there's still a lot of things that really ring true. And I would 100% agree that just because of, let's say, the lyrical creativity of David Byrne, sometimes you really shouldn't spend too much time spinning on what every line means. And I'll tell you, especially as we get into track 1, you shouldn't spend any time thinking about what it means, because nobody really knows, especially David Byrne. So we can kind of see how that goes, and that's another reason why, even though it was a fairly straightforward 4-member band, some really well constructed rhythms, music, originality drawn from different types of music that were brought together in this particular case to create a really good side of music.
Yeah. Well, let's. I've got a copy of the album here.
Sure.
It's pretty straightforward, and you can see the texture. It's sort of like got that like metal plate manhole cover, and the back is. It's just there's nothing on it. I mean, down at the bottom, it's got the the year, copyright and stuff like that, but it doesn't list the tracks. It doesn't list the band members. There's no dust sleeve, or there's nothing on the dust sleeve in the album. So very, very minimal, minimalist album cover. But it gets to that, that sort of urban, is that sort of stark urbanity. Not urbanity, but you know what I mean. In any case, there's 6 tracks on this side. All of the songs are pretty straightforward, and I mean, this is definitely your kind of post-punk, new wave era of music, and a lot of that, not all of that, but a lot of that is music that's meant to be danced to. And And in addition to something that you just got at, as far as the meaning of the lyrics, this is the song to talk about. Let's just listen to the first minute of track number 1, which is called Zimbra, and we'll start talking about it after.
Cool.
All right, you heard kind of what some would call chanting in the background, and they are speaking. I mean, there's sounds, there's vocals, and one could say there's words, and one could debate that. But when you said that, they don't know what they're talking, I mean, I know exactly what these words are about. Nothing. Because they're not really words. They just came up with sounds purely for the sound of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're this was influenced, I believe, by some Dadaist, like absurdist poetry from like the 30s or something like that. I mean, and so
from Hugo Ball, yes.
All right,
the Dadaist, yes.
There you go. And it not only it's intended to be meaningless.
Yes.
And the idea is the music. And the vocals, the voices of who's ever singing, is just part of the sound, and that's it. It's intentionally meaningless as far as any kind of lyrical content, and kind of switching back over to the music. This is really the first example in any significant way where Talking Heads had incorporated sort of like African world music type rhythms into their music. And also you have some guitar work by Robert Fripp, the King Crimson lead guitarist. Some of that sort of mechanical sounding guitar in there. And so this song it covers sort of that new wave post-punk style of music. You've got some progressive rock elements being introduced through Robert Fripp, and you've also kind of got some disco elements in there in just sort of mindless hedonistic dance rhythms. And a lot of people, including some members of the band, look at this track as kind of the stepping stone to the more sophisticated and developed African rhythmic structures in a lot of the material on their next album, Fear of Music. Or their next album is Remain in Light. This is Fear of Music.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I really think that this is a great example of the real creativity of David Byrne and Talking Heads, and then working with Brian Eno. There's actually a recording of this Dadaist kind of reciting this poetry, this nonsense, verbal, spoken word, which aren't really words, and you can hear some of the lyrics that come through in this particular song. But believe me, David Byrne and Talking Heads took it a long way from that original version, because it's really the music that makes this such a powerful song. And I mean, you can see your point of how are we reflecting on this life, this kind of, young adult trying to be sophisticated but not knowing where we're going. There's a lot of absurdity in that kind of world. There's a lot of chaos that's going on in that. And another thing is there's a lot of chance, a lot of randomness. And that's what I think these kind of nonsense words that don't necessarily mean anything, it's chance and luck that sends a lot of people off in this direction in life, or to this level of success, or to this level of failure. So I think the notion that they're thinking this way at this time was again, it was real to what people were thinking, and I think this music resonated in anybody in that situation.
Well, and Talking Heads' biggest commercial success came on their fifth album, which didn't come out until like 1983, Speaking in Tongues. Mm-hmm. And Speaking in Tongues suggests sort of inspired nonsense.
Yeah.
And one of the lyrics on one of the songs from that album has the phrase "stop making sense."
Mm-hmm.
And there was eventually a concert film, that was made, a pretty good one too, mm-hmm. As those things go, that was called "Stop Making Sense." And one of the underlying themes to whether you want to call it Dadaist or absurdist or surrealist art, it's sort of like when the world itself and life itself stops making sense. How do you reflect that in art?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sort of a would-be aspiring writer, and one of the things that they say is, doing good writing is harder than real life because writing has to make sense. and so Talking Heads was kind of begging the question, does it really?
Yeah.
Does it really? And so,
yep.
In any case, Zimbra.
Well, one question, Mike, before we leave this, and I was in preparing for this. First of all, the notion that this album came out in 1979, and Robert Fripp did participate in this song. Now, 2 years later, King Crimson came out with an album called Discipline that had a song on it, Thela Hun Jinjit. Now, I see some similarities between this song and that song. If it just, I'm going to leave that there. I don't even kind of the, not just the notion of this kind of, kind of foreign word type thing, but, the emphasis of the lyrics and even the lead ups, the musical lead ups. Check it out sometime and let me know what you think.
My initial reaction is that they're very different songs in a lot of ways. And King Crimson, that incarnation of King Crimson was different than Talking Heads in a lot of very significant ways.
Yeah.
But never having made the connection before, you just mentioning that, Fripp may have copped an idea.
He might have taken some of that with him.
And Adrian Belew is probably who came up with the Thela Hun Jinjit.
Yeah.
So it's probably that's who I should maybe say. But no, that is a very fair thing to point out.
Just a thought. Great song though. Great. So both great songs, but.
Zimbra. In any case, Zimbra is what starts things out, and the second song is of a very different style and a little bit more like some of the stuff on their first two albums, but nevertheless has this sort of stark bare metal kind of kind of aspect to it. The second track is called Mind, and there's a number of tracks on this album that just one word, and this one's called Mind. And let's just get a minute or so of that a clip out, and then we can start talking after it's done.
All right.
I used the word kind of minimalist earlier, and I think that the arrangement here is maybe a spare arrangement is a different word, but the singer is talking about someone, and time won't change them. Money won't change them. Haven't the faintest idea. Everything seems to be up in the air. I need something to change your mind.
Yeah.
And it's, and that the lyrics could be about, they could be about either someone who is wanting to make a connection with another person, and they're not able to make that connection. And that's the nature of the change that the singer is trying to bring about. Or it could also be, I'm trying to tell you the way things are, and you just ain't interested in knowing. And or aren't capable of knowing, or don't have the intellectual wherewithal to be able to understand my worldview, or whatever it might be. I mean, and I don't know which it is, or I don't know how much it matters. But talking about the music, it sounds like a wind up clock that's been wound too tight. Is what it sounds like to me. It's got this. Yeah. It's got this whatever's it's not working, and I'm
there's some anxiousness. There's some anxiousness. There's that
anxiousness.
This is what I was talking about before about instead of trying to take you to a different place, this is kind of reflecting the way life is. And I agree with you exactly. What do we mean? I think this is people are who they are, and it's very hard to change them. This guy could be looking at himself in a mirror, and be trying to change themselves and finding it difficult to do. It could be a partner, it could be a friend, but just this notion that that people are that it's difficult to change. And what I'll this is a classic Talking Heads riff that starts this song out. That just the way that it moves. It is just so Talking Heads, and it kind of gets you in a little bit of a bop right away from the from the very beginning. And I love Talking Heads music because for some reason it always makes me want to dance in a way that I don't normally dance. And I guess I'll just explain it like that. Makes me want to move things that I don't typically move when I'm dancing. And this song is certainly one of those.
Well, and because normally dancing, or fast dancing, is in like a rock and roll or disco context.
Yeah.
Is where the rhythm is in your hips. And so you're kind of like moving your pelvis around it to the rhythm of the music.
Yeah.
And here it's it's a different, it makes other parts of your body want to move. And so this isn't the song that you're going to hear them play out at a nightclub. Or back in the day, or whatnot. But it's music that does generate movement in a listener, and
may not be club music, but it's great party music. This is great music to have on at a party. It's really interesting. And one thing that also this song shows that I find very similar. You've got David Byrne. I see the same thing with Brian Ferry from Roxy Music, or even Peter Gabriel. Some point when they're singing, they don't mind if their voice kind of cracks while they're singing. You can picture some artists like, oh, we gotta do another take. In hitting that high note, my voice kind of cracked. They don't, and I think that's part of that is kind of like expressing their frustration that they're feeling, the anxiousness that they're feeling. I mean, it comes across in this kind of voice that's almost out of tune, it seems, but it fits in so perfectly with the music. And I like the way that those, I think all three of those vocalists, David Byrne especially, it's just like, no, this is how this is supposed to sound. It's how it feels coming out of me. So very interesting vocals that we hear.
Well, and the one thing about Talking Heads, I mean, David Byrne is sort of the voice of Talking Heads. I mean, I don't think there's anything anything controversial about that. But for example, in the concert movie Stop Making Sense, when they're doing Once in a Lifetime, and there's a part during the performance where David Byrne kind of goes into this spastic, almost like an epileptic seizure kind of dance, and and I think that part of his persona is sort of like a person that's always just on the verge of losing control of himself in that sense.
Yeah.
And they're able to keep it together for purposes of getting their singing out. But you can just, every now and again, you can sense when they're just banging the guardrails,
We're on the edge here.
Or on the edge.
Yep.
Great song.
Yep.
Moving right along. One thing, there is some fairly bottom heavy guitar at the end of Mind that is almost more hard rockish than anything else on the album. I didn't think it was worth playing a clip for, but interesting little tidbit about the conclusion of that second track.
A great run out to the end of the song is some really awesome guitar on there.
Moving right along, track number 3 is called Paper, and kind of consistent with what we've been doing. Let's listen to the first minute and a half or so, and then we'll pick up our discussion in earnest thereafter.
Okay.
First thing is there's some good guitar in this song, and David Byrne was by no means a guitar hero sort of performer. Kind of the Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page style, Ritchie Blackmore lead guitar player. That was not his thing at all. But he could play some good guitar, and Jerry Harrison, the keyboard. He was a keyboard player as well as a guitarist, and I think this is an example of nothing flashy or in your face, but just good use of the guitar to make some upbeat, pop inflected music of the type that we've been trying to describe earlier, in this podcast. And lyrically, this one is a little less straightforward. And, as best I can tell, they're talking about the fragility of paper, and also the fact that sometimes in order for life to make sense, if you can't, it's like if you can't write it down and have it make sense, does it make sense at all? And so, had a love affair, but it was only paper. Some rays, they pass right through. Stuff like that. It was only paper. And that could also be talking about just the transitory nature of many things in life, even though they might seem more important at the time. Blah 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 blah. It's one of those kind of songs lyrically, but I think the way it goes back and forth with the guitars is and some people that like loud electric guitar music, they're not going to think of this song as a guitar song. I do. I do. I think of it as a good guitar song.
Yeah, and I see this as, kind of boiling down. I think it's a relationship and talking about it as if it was a piece of paper. And, you talked about that, this is a piece of paper is fragile, a relationship is fragile. If I was talking about my relationship like I'd be talking about a piece of paper, I want to hold on to my paper. That I don't always understand my paper. Eventually, I have to throw my paper away. In some, and I kind of see throughout the verses that works. I don't know if that's what they were getting at, but you also feel that anxiousness, that like speed of being pushed and pulled a little behind, that comes in this, never quite getting it right. Is a feel that the music combined with the lyrics kind of passes along. Again, real life for people. In this particular case, as a piece of paper is being presented as what the focus of this is. But yeah, good song.
Well, and when you're talking about song lyrics, not unlike poetry, I mean, and song lyrics and poetry are usually distinct things. And neither, being exactly like the other. But when you're talking about both poetry or song lyrics, when they're crafted in such a way that multiple interpretations can be right, or let's say not wrong, that reflects good. That reflects good use of language, in my opinion, and I think that this is a song where that that applies, and again falls in with that one word.
Yep.
Paper. There's and the way to holding it up to the light. Kind of like you take a dollar bill and a crisp new one, or hold it up to the light to see if it's real and stuff like that. It's just it's there's all sorts of different, the texture of paper.
Paper is everywhere.
Yeah. So, and it was on David Byrne's mind.
Yes.
So, track number 3. Let's move on to track number 4, which is called Cities. This one's a little more straightforward in terms of the lyrical content. And why don't we listen to about a minute or so of this, and got actually a little guitar break in the middle of the song that we can hear, and then we'll pick up our conversation on the other side.
Let's do it.
I got it figured out. I got
Well, we heard the middle verse of this song. There's it talks about cities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, find a city, find myself a city to live in. And this is Birmingham. Now, whether you talk about Birmingham, Alabama, or Birmingham, England, I don't know. I don't think it matters. The first verse, think of London,
Mm-hmm.
small city, because London, England, a small city.
Mm-hmm.
What is he talking about? And you ask a half dozen different people, what does he mean by that? You're going to hear a half dozen different answers. But the chorus, I'm checking them out, I'm checking it out, I got it figured out, I got it figured out. There's good points, some bad points, but it all works out. I'm a little freaked out. I'll find myself a city to live in. And it's one of those songs about the kind of the illusion of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And, you look at a city from the outside and it's like, that seems like a city that I'd like to live in.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you move there, you find out, well, I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's, there's various urban environments. In the third and final verse, he talks about Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "Home of Elvis and the ancient Greeks."
Mm-hmm.
You got Memphis, Tennessee, and Memphis, which I think was actually in Egypt, rather than Greece.
Yeah.
But in any event, and so. That's what I think is what I said before, that it's just he doesn't, and it goes for that, he doesn't feel at home where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And he's imagining that there's another place where he will, but he doesn't know where it is.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, I would, you're selecting from cities, but what he's trying to find is a home. And I 100% agree with you. This idea of you've got all these different places that you can live, but you don't know what any of them are going to be like as a home until you've lived there. And and then the pros and cons kind of start to make their way out of the woodwork. And sometimes it's like, well, I guess this is just home. And other times it's like, let's look at the other cities that are available for me to try to find a home, which is apparently what David Byrne is doing here. Again, I like the way that this song opens up. It kind of fades in and into the song. And kind of starts with this kind of happy, almost bouncy feeling about, hey, there's these cities, but it becomes hectic and anxious, kind of running, chasing that home. Kind of how can I find this place? And the lyric that you just talked about a second ago about how I got it figured out. I got it. Another one of those points where he doesn't seem to care that he's exactly hitting that note right, because he's kind of a frantic,
he's a little freaked out.
That's right. He's a little freaked out, and that's how you'd sound if you were a little freaked out. So I think he does a great job kind of relaying this feeling, and just an interesting use of the words and the different cities that he brings into the song. So another really good song.
What do you think of the guitar break?
Good guitar. And the I think that there's, to your point, there's people that are looking for heavy guitar solos, and if that's their focus, they might not find this here.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I like all that stuff, but David Byrne,
but exactly, and the way that it fits into this music with this feel, but they're still leveraging the guitar to drive this, whether it be the point home or to keep the song moving or whatever they do a really good job with it. There's a lot in Talking Heads music that is not guitar. The way that you can take, the bass and the keyboards and the synthesizers that go into this and lever these so well with some interesting drum patterns. You got a lot going on before you even start to think about the guitar. But I think this is a great example where, yeah, they've still got guitar there.
Well, and I think I was talking about in the last track, Paper, that, very interesting use of guitars. And I think that's just that's in my opinion, that's the way to articulate that. It's just they use guitars. I think there's plenty of guitar in Talking Heads music, but it's just used in a different way than like a lot of conventional hard rock from the mid '70s would have used guitar.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, this particular song starts off, and what you're hearing at the beginning is primarily the bass guitar and piano. Is what's kind of getting you into the song, as opposed to your standard guitar riff that that takes a lot of classic rock into and through the song. But they gave us some guitar as well.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along. Track number 5 is one of Talking Heads' best known songs, and it is one of their best songs. And it's called "Life During Wartime," and it's Cities was probably the most upbeat song of the side so far. And "Life During Wartime" is kind of when the party really starts musically.
Yeah.
It's upbeat. The music I'm talking about is upbeat, accessible, something you could dance to at a club. And the lyrics are, if there was ever a song that that had multiple potential meanings, two specifically, here's one of them. Why don't we listen to the first couple minutes of this song? A lot of listeners will have heard this, but it's worth giving this a good little sampling, and then we can have at it after.
All right, let's go to war.
Rhythm of the song is just, it's fun. It's a fun sounding song, and I was talking just a minute ago about how there are two different ways to look at this song, and one of them is that the singer is living in a city and there's a war going on, and he has to there's not a lot of money or a lot of food, and there's things going on outside of the place where he is occupying, that there's menace there, and potential danger, but he doesn't, I mean, the song doesn't have a grim, fearful, menacing feel to it. It has a tap your foot, and get up and do something kind of feel to it. What I think that the second interpretation, and in my opinion the better interpretation, is it's about, you're a college student living in a large city. You're not sure what you want to do with your life, and especially if you came to the city from a smaller place. I moved from Appleton, Wisconsin to Minneapolis when I was 18 and was attending college there at that time. And so you're in a newer, strange environment. You don't have money. You gotta, because this and that. And what he says, this ain't no party. This ain't no disco. This ain't no fooling around. No time for dancing or lovey-dovey. I ain't got time for that now. Because you just got all this other shit on your mind.
Yeah.
Whether it's studying or not studying because you don't figure it makes any difference because you don't know what the fuck you're going to do with the degree you're working towards. And you don't see a place for yourself in the big world that you are seeing in this city, on television, in movies. And so you're just surviving.
Yeah.
In an environment that, by the late, I mean, the Talking Heads lived in New York City.
Yeah.
And the reference to the Mud Club and CBGB, those were clubs that they played in New York City and stuff. So, and because that's, just because you live in the city, when you're a college student with no money, you ain't spending all your time hanging out at the clubs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in Minneapolis, when I'd go out to First Avenue, it was not all the time.
Yeah. And when you did go, you weren't necessarily able to take advantage of everything that it might have to offer.
The tap beer in the plastic cup will be fine. How much is that? Yeah, I think I got enough change here.
Well, I agree, and I do think that it's more of the second, interpretation as well. And if you look at when this was happening, it's kind of interesting. I mean, the late 70s, early 80s, the 70s were, as you start talking about the nightclubs and disco, and there was kind of a period of party excess, I would say.
Decadence.
That was decadence, and it just there was even without becoming decadent. I mean, there was a lot of focus on having fun and having glamour and these kind of things. And although this was what's that?
Hedonism.
There we go. Just soaking it in. Well, the end of the 70s, and this was, I mean, a little bit before Reagan was up, but not long. Yeah. And you could kind of start to see it's like the 70s are over, man. And it is a different type of life that is emerging out of this. It's interesting. We were ending our high school careers. You talk about people in a focus of ending their college lifestyle years. These years of no responsibility start to come to an end, and you got to enter the real world. And what was the real world shaping up as? Well, I guess an emotional war zone compared to what they had been living with before. So I kind of a preview of the 80s, what that would be compared to what it was like in the 70s, because there was a number of same thing with punk rock kind of came, and there was this kind of like disregard for everything except for let's enjoy the night and the time, and rock, man, and disco and these other things. And that was all just kind of coming to an end, to something a little bit more conventional, a little less absurd, a little more disciplined. And this album was not about any of that. They were not looking for patience of and discipline. They were still in the chaos and absurdity kind of mode. So I think it's a very familiar song. I'm sure many people will have heard it. Again, one of these kind of standard Talking Heads songs. Really good kind of beat. There's a hecticness. There's a push that's going on in it. But again, it's got this one's got my head bopping as I'm listening to it.
Yeah. It's a great song. Great song. And okay, well, we got one more track to go, and I think this album builds up and then ends really strong. I mean, one of Talking Heads' stronger songs in Life During Wartime, and the final track, number 6 on the side, is called "Memories Can't Wait," and which is a great song in my humble opinion. And a fabulous close to the side. Let's listen to the first minute or so of this, and then we can pick up our conversation on the other side.
Can't wait.
This track, is something that I can relate to, because the singer is someone who perpetually overthinks things, and has always got 3 different things going on in their mind, and when he says there's a party in my mind and I hope it never stops. There's a party up there all the time, and they'll party till they drop. That's what he's talking about. And it's kind of like someone who has ADHD and doesn't like taking their medication because they feel like it cramps their style. Although this guy, when he says, I hope it never stops, at the same time, you kind of think he's looking for some relief from what's going on in his mind. Yeah,
or at least as the song progresses, there's more of a realization that maybe there's. I'd like to find a reason why the party isn't stopping upstairs. I'd agree with you. There's a lot going on in the guy's head, and there's some positives to that and there's some negatives to that. I think as we get eventually to the end of the song, I think that it's easier for me to sum up kind of how I see the whole song looking back on it. But first of all, it's a very heavy beginning, right? I mean, it's a heavier start than the previous songs have been, and kind of a strange feel to it, to that
little darker.
Yes, little darker, and then it transitions in the middle of the song to what I would call disturbing, right? In the way that the vocals are kind of being stretched out and that kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. I read in something about this that it reminded some people of like a roller coaster kind of drug trip where you get all this great activity in your mind at the beginning, and then a part of the way through things start getting weird, and it certainly occurs in this song.
Well, let's listen to that transition at the end for about a minute, and so everyone knows what you're talking about, and then we'll pick up our conversation.
All right.
Now, I mean, just musically, the way that it transitions, it changes the whole tone, and it's almost like, okay, you're in this loft in somewhere in Manhattan, in Greenwich Village or some arty district, and there's been a party, and everyone's finally just found a couch or a futon or something, and it's kind of drifted off to sleep. And the sun is coming up over the urban landscape, and the singer is still awake.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still, the party in his mind is still going on.
Yep. Well, and again, that has a strong relation to kind of the a drug reference, where a little bit too much coke and now I can't get to sleep, right?
Yeah.
In the with what's happening. And what we just heard there, I talked about the beginning was strange, the middle was disturbing, and then we heard what I see as the third part as it transitions to that, where he's basically saying, the memories can't wait, which I find almost sounds kind of Beatlesque in the way that the song, there's a very strong kind of pleasant chord structure that's going on underneath the song, even though he's just reiterating his message. The memories can't wait. I think that he's using the term memory to talk about all kinds of thoughts, right? Yeah. that are bubbling up. But as I said when we first started talking about this album, this is a great example where I look back at this song now and I see this resonates very well with me. There are plenty of things when I was younger. At our age, I've got lots of memories. Many wonderful memories, many just normal, standard, run-of-the-mill memories. And I've got some bad memories, right, that I have throughout my life, whether they be accidents or whatever, things that have happened, bad decisions I've made, whatever. And when I was younger, it was very easy to not think about those memories. It was very easy just to think about something else. And now that I'm older, that is not so easy. When some of these things pop up into my mind that aren't so pleasant to think about, and I don't really want to spend a lot of time thinking about, it's a lot harder than it used to be to think about something else. And when I listen to this song, that's what I think about how it's just a different way of working with your mind, right? That party that's going on in your mind. There's a different way you have to manage it as you get older. And sometimes those memories can't wait, and you're gonna be pondering them for a while, whether you want to or not. And that as I listen to these songs in the modern day, that's something that I think about.
Well, and I like your Beatlesque because that really is a good comparison. That just the sound of the guitar when they start to get into that repetitive chorus at the end, or bridge or whatever you want to call it. Really, I mean, arguably the strongest track on the side. I mean, and a fabulous closing track for the side. And here, I mean, just to kind of sum up, we got 6 songs on this side,
Yeah.
all of which are pretty solid. You don't have any clinkers here at all, and it all has that Talking Heads sound to it. But there's a fair amount of variety. You've got one of their best known and best songs in Life During Wartime, and then just a little bit darker, more straightforward, as strong a song to close out the side.
Yeah.
Can't this is more than just worth someone's time to check out. I mean, this is a side that, if you're into classic rock, or particularly into this kind of more new wave post punk type stuff, you should check it out.
Oh, absolutely. And great music, as we said before, to have on like at a party.
Yeah.
Because that tension and stuff that we talked about is also beat. It's action. There's a lot of this stuff. Maybe you don't want to start dancing, but it makes you want to move a little listening to it. So great for a party. And if you haven't checked this album out, listen to it and then listen to it again. Yeah. Right? Just take my word for it, as when a little bit sinks in, it's better the second time around. Absolutely worth everybody checking out. It's a great album. 6 songs. That this is right when the electricity had gone in on the Talking Heads house. So a great album from a very influential and interesting band. And as always, Mike, a great conversation.
Definitely. Okay, Mark, we will talk to you next time.